Okay, movie crap is a go. Starting on time, bringing it on. How's it going? Can't hear me yet, but I'll hear me soon. And when I do, it'll be glorious. And I will say something. There we go. Can I hear me? Oh, what the fuck? Okay, hey, what's up? It's Jim, and this is Movie Crap Live. Sorry you could hear me twice there. Yes. All right. So, how's it going? Hello, Zodberg. I was reading your interesting things in the chat. Bruce Parker, Nathaniel Foga, a guy named Crystal, a Mono Loco, K-Master, Bruce Parker. Again, sorry, Sleepy Time 4Cat Productions. Zodberg, Sunspot Mill, Ace the Wind Rider. It's okay if you don't have fan art today. Scuff 196, Zane Powers, Cornbread. Hello everyone. Dana Delaney, hello. Austin. Lights Out, Gorilla Radio, turn that shit up. Nattenbach 64. You knew what I was listening to in high school, clearly. Showtime for Major Mechazawa. How's it going, Major Mechazawa? Let's do the fade up. There we go. You get the first super chat of the night. Thank you very much, Nattenbach64. Cheers to you. Getting a Battle of Los Angeles reference in there. That's a good fucking album. I think I've listened to that one more. I always feel weird saying that's the best one, but I know a lot of people do. But cheers to you, Nattenbach64. I actually used to really like the Covers album. Oh, Chan reviews more. Oh, that's interesting. I want to see In the Heights. I want to have a review of In the Heights tonight. Or not tonight, but this coming week. Yeah. Yeah, hello. It's another Saturday. I feel like I'm always like rushing right in here. My hair's always weird. Anyway, I feel like I'm always rushing right in here every Saturday, but I'm happy to rush in here. It's always nice. Yeah, not much happened this week. On Sunday we got to like go out. It was weird, like doing normal stuff on a Sunday again. That was interesting. I showed my daughter a really cool film, and I'm gonna do a review of it. I don't know when that. I'm gonna shoot a review of it. I don't know when this review is gonna come out, because it's not exactly what I would call like I don't know. It's not relevant, but it's a great movie called The Little Fugitive, which you can find on YouTube. That's how Sophie and I watched it. And it's actually... Oh, hello, Sunram, TuneJ723. And it's actually a really classic film. It's what influenced 400 Blows in the French New Wave, and a lot of filmmakers are influenced by it. It's basically about this little kid who... him and his brother are left alone as their mom goes to take care of their grandma or something. And it was the 50s in Brooklyn, and the older brother convinces the little brother that he's killed him, and the little brother runs away to Coney Island. And you basically like watch this little kid have fun in Coney Island for a whole movie. And I was wondering if Sophie would like it, but she really liked it a lot, and she sat there and paid attention the whole movie and was into it, which was great. It was wonderful. But it's a great movie, so if you've never seen it, it's on YouTube, actually. It'll probably be in my What to Watch, which will be next week. But yeah, it was cool watching an old movie from 1953, I believe. So it's like, yeah, it was cool. It was cool. It influenced John Cassavetes, all this stuff, and it's a great movie. And that was like so much fun showing an old, like kind of important movie, but a good kids movie. It's a great kids movie. Very cinema. I guess I don't know cinema verite, but like very kind of old. I'm not sure how to describe it exactly, but very kind of intimate, kind of handheld camera, New York cinematography. Like the way New York films are considered is what came from this movie about a little kid running away to Coney Island. Like actually in serious, it literally like 400 Blows was made because they saw this movie. So it's great. Check it out. It's free if you need a movie to watch. And I mean, it's basically you watch a little kid have fun in an amusement park. What's wrong with that? Other than that, I've been working on various projects, of course, as I do. I'm wrapping up the Kevin Smith series. There's only two more, should be Jersey Girl and Clerks 2. To me, and I rewatched the Patrick H. Willems video about this actually, and I sort of agree that Clerks 2 and Jay and Silent Bob reboot is kind of the end, because then you get into like these other things, these weird offshoots. If those win Patreon movie review votes or something, I'd be happy to. But in terms of like my story with those characters, my personal attachment sort of ends with Clerks 2, like the whole like story of it to me. So to me, that's where it's like we're cutting it off after that. But then there'll be another series, which I think you guys will dig. So hopefully, I'm not sure when Jersey Girl will come. I think that'll be probably the least watched, because I've never seen Jersey Girl. I think a lot of people haven't seen Jersey Girl, from my understanding. And in the Patrick H. Williams video, he hadn't seen Jersey Girl. Most people I've talked to hadn't seen it. So, just to let you know, a dude on YouTube, Ben Howell, is doing an animated family film with Batman set in the 30s. Oh, okay, I will look that up. Remind me of that, Jane. Thank you for that. All right, let's just get into it. I don't think I have any other things I can really talk about, or I'm sure there's something. I can't think of it right now. Yes. Okay. Listening to REM, listening to Doom's the MF Doom Doomsday album still a lot. Listening to DJ Shadow, the first DJ Shadow album. I come back to that every little bit. That first, and I don't know his stuff other than that. I've tried, but it's just that first DJ Shadow album, fucking amazing. I have to say, I finished Avatar season 1. That's what I did. I did that. That was great. I was in love with that. That was wonderful. I was like, I'm so into this. I'm so excited to show this to Sophie when she's older. I'm excited to start season 2. I kind of want to watch like a movie, because it's sort of my subway show a little bit while I'm going to work and stuff. So maybe, I don't know. We'll see. But yeah. Oh, Jay and Silent Bob Do Canadian. I reviewed that back in the day. I've already reviewed that. I'm sorry I forgot about it, Austin. Haha. I see what you did there. Okay. Anyway, let's just start the show. This and everything I do is supported by you, the amazing viewers, either through super chats during the show, or through my Patreon, which is linked below. If you do a super chat, I will take a chug of red. Ow, why do I do that every time? Zach and Mary doesn't count, and at a certain point, we gotta, I'm cutting it. Zach and Mary doesn't count. I know people do that, but just like, whatever. You have to stop at some point. You know what I mean? Anyway, so super chats, we said the thing. Okay, thank you for the super chats if you are. It helps, as well as my Patreon, which has all sorts of rewards like postcards, Skype calls, exclusive videos like my commentary series. You find out who wins in the movie review vote, which you learned recently. You get updates, all sorts of cool stuff, and more extras to come. And it's a great way to help support the show, help me continue to, buy equipment, be able to see movies, be able to pay for streaming services, things, be able to probably end up... Is that cats? Okay, probably end up seeing that George Romero movie. All sorts of stuff like that, which I need to see that. Yeah. And even if you're financially able to do so, I very much appreciate it if you're able to. If not, just liking or subscribing or just watching is really nice of you. And thank you very much for doing so. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. It does help support the show. Sharing or telling a friend is cool too. But if you're just like, I just like having this on while I do stuff at work or something, hey, good job. Or thank you. Sorry. Thank you. Keep doing what you're doing. And I appreciate it. All right. Is Mandela Butterfly here? Okay. Hello, Movie House. I like that. All right. So we'll talk about this first because it's a little shorter, I guess. This is kind of an off week because I feel like there was some sort of big things, but there isn't like a, oh my God thing. And I feel like June last June, obviously for very obvious reasons, was sort of a down movie news month because there's like a lot culturally going on. This June, there's Pride and stuff. I'm not trying to denote that, but it's just certainly not the same, and we're not really getting as much. But I'm still going to cover what's there for now, and I like doing this show. And yeah. Oh, thank you, DittoCast. You should check out DittoCast stuff. DittoCast does some cool stuff. All right, so the Cuphead. We got the first Cuphead, first look on it. I've never played this game. I've talked about playing it, but you know me. I will probably never play video games unless it's like helping Sophie with something. So, but I can tell you one thing that's great about this thing is it looks completely like a Fleischer Brothers cartoon, which I think is what it's trying to do. Basically, it looks kind of like a Fleischer Brothers cartoon done like through the 90s or something. Almost reminds me of that Ralph Bakshi Christmas special, Christmas in Toontown, or whatever the fuck that was. I reviewed it at the time. Sort of reminds me of that, a little more cleaner than that, obviously. But I like the Wayne Brady voice. I don't entirely know who he's playing, but he was good at it. I thought it was a good role regardless. Zane Powers, Jim, stop disrespecting the gamers in all our news. I don't think I'll be talking about Ubisoft stuff tonight, but I'm sorry. I'll try to be more respectful, Zane Powers. Cheers to you. Wait a minute. I think I forgot something. Let me get through this. And there's a thing that I forgot that I will get to. I don't think anyone called me out on it, surprisingly. Did anyone? No, that's interesting. Okay. But anyway, I noticed when I was watching the Cuphead thing that he does a dance much like Cab Calloway did when he did Minnie the Moocher. Actually, which was a kind of rotoscope, basically, performance where they animated his movements. It's a Betty Boop cartoon. It's great. You should check it out. It's probably on YouTube. I think I've seen it on there. I don't know a link. But that is something that looked really great and was a straight-up animation reference. I'm super excited for this. I'm excited for the classic animation community to get into this. It looks like a really great fun show, and I'm excited for it. And this is a great first look. I mean, it didn't really show me Cuphead in action, or wasn't like a trailer and whatever, but I thought they did a really great job. Also, thing I forgot. Thank you, Cornbread figured it out. I did not. Is it Cab Calloway? Did I say? What did I say? Did I not say Cab Calloway? I'm confused. Did I say the wrong thing? Oh, well. Anyway, I'll do the Discord thing. Also, you should join my Discord server. It is on... hello, Caleb Wilson. It is also linked below and is run excellently well by Zane Powers and Austin. We have all sorts of cool things. They have movie watches on Friday night. They have... they movie watches on Friday night, or watch-alongs. There's Ask Jim, where you can ask me questions. You can suggest things. You can talk about movie news. You can talk about gaming, apparently. I never go in there, but apparently they do. There's the Novelty Playing Cards channel, which I did say Cab Calloway. Sorry, I'm so used to being wrong. There's the Novelty Playing Card chat. When these cards are still holding up, it's like remarkable the run we've had with this. But there's all sorts of cool channels, and it's a great community. If you like hanging out in the chat during the show, you should check out the Discord, because you can hang out with them. You could leave a question and say, hey guys, or I want to be part of the question of the day in general, or something like that. I also ask them, hey, what do you think I should cover on the show? So if you want to be more involved, part of this community and stuff like that, it's a great place to do that. All right. I'm surprised Austin or Zane Powers didn't say anything. Nobody said anything. That's interesting. I find that funny. And it hit me. I looked up and go, wait a minute. Okay. Now the big thing. It's on the thumb. I'm hitting two thumbnails at once. Not that the thumbnail means that much. The He-Man trailer, or Masters of the Universe Revelation. This is produced and actually created and developed by Kevin Smith. No joke. I wanted to first talk about this. The trailer itself. It was awesome. I loved the trailer. The animation looked wonderful. It reminded me of the reboot in the early 2000s, which I did watch. It had We Need a Hero, which when I was a kid in the 80s, I loved that song. So it was hitting all my kid who grew up in the 80s nostalgia buttons all at once. Like, I was like surprised how well they nailed that. It looks great. It looks like the kind of thing that works for like kids who grew up with it. That's like the purpose of that show. That's what it's trying to do, and it does it excellently well. I fucking uh I loved it. I felt like silly, like I'm still liking this thing I liked when I was like 3 or 4, but it brought all that back, and it was kind of this well animated thing of it. And I want to say I should talk about my history of He-Man, because I don't know how well it's documented, because I don't talk about it a lot. I reviewed Master Universe forever ago, but the movie, not the show. But the thing with this is, so when I was a little kid, my parents did not want me watching violent cartoons. They didn't. And then they saw me on the playground. All the kids were playing He-Man, and I didn't know what it was. And then I wanted to know what it was, and then they let me watch He-Man. And I got super fucking into it. I got extremely into it. But first off, we said early to say, but happy 5th anniversary to Angelic to the Core, Anthony Fantano's favorite album from 2016. Cheers to you, Anthony Fantano, I guess. And Austin, you love the Masters of the Universe movie. I do. It's like my guilty pleasure movie. Cheers to you, Austin. Thank you for the super chat, guys. But it was always this big thing throughout my childhood. It was when I was a little kid. I got into comics when I was 7. But before that, and that's a whole other story. Maybe I'll go over, like, I should probably do, I've thought about doing, like, comic book memories. I have memories of watching MTV in the late 90s, early 2000s, much like the Video Store Memories video. I should do that at some point. But when it just became my favorite. It's kind of known to be, like, my favorite cartoon. I really loved that show a lot. And I even watched The New Adventures, which was on at like 6 a.m. as I recall when I was in elementary school, and only for like 1 year. And I saw a video that recapped the show, and I remembered more of it than I thought I would. But I had the action figures, so I bought the merchandise, and I watched the reboot on Cartoon Network. But I don't know. I always just loved it. I was always really into it as a little kid. So it's something that meant a lot to me growing up. And I sort of get when kids who are around my age talk about how much they loved it, because it was like this big fantasy thing. It was, if you like Star Wars, you definitely like Master Universe, stuff like that. So when this trailer went out, it was really cool and really awesome. Almost as soon as it went out, I go, this is so much better than that She-Ra show. And like, look at the designs. Look like the real figure designs, unlike She-Ra and all this stuff. And I like, oh wait, hold on, I missed a super chat there. I'm sorry, Zane Powers. So violent, He-Man throwing all those people. Look, my parents were not, they weren't. If you, how my parents banned things for violence was never like a very well organized, well thought out thing. Let me just say that was never the greatest organized thing in the world. But that's how they felt about it. Anyway, cheers to you. There was a sword. I don't know. Cheers to you, Zane Powers. But, yeah, it's not. They didn't have like great. It wasn't the best organized thing. I don't think it makes a lot of sense when you watch it. You're like, whatever. Anyway, so yeah, people said all this stuff. Sorry about that, Zane Powers. People are saying all this stuff basically like this is a real show and all this stuff, and it's not ugly like the She-Ra show and blah blah. I sort of initially on Twitter was basically like kind of scoffing at that, like, hey, She-Ra is one of the most significant shows, animated shows, I think, of the last couple of years. I don't think this He-Man show will really be that necessarily. It's sort of just doing the nostalgia thing, which is fine. I think I was a little too negative on it, despite the fact that I am super fucking hyped and will probably watch every episode. I kind of hate this because when I've seen the kind of grifter people videos or Twitter accounts talking about this, is they all, or Hold on. There's a Zane Power. Whoa, hold. That's not. Okay. Sinram has a big super chat, so I'll read it. In case I am on my way home when you get to the rest of the new trailers, The Eyes of Tammy Faye was a Blacklist script, if I remember correctly. Oh, I did not know that. But I believe you are right, Sinram, and thank you. That is a very generous super chat. Cheers to you. Thank you very much, man. And good luck getting home. Safe travels, sir. What I find interesting about the He-Man thing, and I think it is very much like the Thundercats thing, is when I talk to people who are about my age and like Thundercats and saw Thundercats roar, they were sort of cool with it. And I talked to a lot of those people, and much like me, they'd seen every version of Thundercats. A bunch of them, and the people I'm still friends with, I'm still friends with people who aren't nerds, but a bunch of people I'm friends with are hardcore nerds from back in the day. And they have seen all of them, and they were fine with Thundercats Roar. They were like, oh, cool, I can watch it with my niece and nephews, or I can watch it with my kids. And I noticed the same thing with He-Man. So my question here, first off, is who the fuck are these people? Like, you're not even the real hardcore fans. So, like, what are you doing here? Like, proclaiming all this, like, conservatism over the shit we want when we are the people who it's catering to, and you're fucking around with our shit? Like, what's that about? That's weird. Secondly, I noticed there's this whole, like, She-Ra is, sort of gay and stuff, and that's why people hate it. I'm sorry, have you watched He-Man? Like, the original He-Man is super gay. And I remember in the 2000s, that was, like, a big thing. Like, people would talk about it all the time, like, on the internet, how nobody realized the show. And, like, I didn't as a kid, because I didn't know anything. I was, like, 3 or 4. And, like, suddenly I was like, oh, my God, this show is, like, super gay. So I find everything about this bizarre, but I think it's ultimately by people who are clearly not fans of it, because most of those people I know were like, oh yeah, I should watch She-Ra. They weren't like, oh yeah, fuck She-Ra. Nobody thinks that, except for like these limited people who have too much of a voice. I'm sorry I did get a little upset about it, because I thought it was a little dumb. I think the whole thing is a little silly, but I think I'm curious what they're going to do with He-Man. Apparently they have talked about doing a Christmas special with this and She-Ra. That notice there's some talk of that, so I hope this happens with that. But I think it looks like a great show. I think the whole thing is bizarre. Ninebox64, Clownfish TV is a notorious cartoon grifter. I would say they are, because mainly what they talk about is how evil liberals are all the... See, that's the thing, is like you can tell like what they're really pushing, and they're pushing things that most of you probably who watch this, from my understanding, don't really agree with. So cheers to you, Ninebox64. Actually, hold on, Jane, I'll get to you in 1 second. Cheers to you. Thank you, Ninebox64. What I'm saying, actually, because I'm like on the older end of the 30s, most people I knew who were older didn't have a problem with it. It's actually might be people in their like late 20s, early 30s who have the problem with it, not the actually people in their 40s who had the figures and were like 3 or 4 when He-Man came out. So it's sort of like this weird, interesting thing. I find it interesting because when I looked at those Twitter accounts, I was like, when I could see ages, they were definitely like maybe even too young to have seen He-Man on the Cartoon Express, which makes you think they just like come up with these things. But it's also like so it just, the whole thing, the weird masculinity thing with He-Man that people are pushing on it is weird, because that's like sort of a joke. Like, I have no problem with Kevin Smith's interpretation. In fact, I gotta say this, Kevin Smith works best in animation. Rewatching Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, he is best when he works in animation, because even his film that he made after Clerks animated series is significantly better than his film, directed at least, maybe not script-wise, but is directed. I think Jay and Silent Bob is better directed than Dogma. So I just think, what about people like us in our early to mid 20s? Zane Powers. Well, I think you guys are fine. I don't think... You guys seem cool. I think it's just a select group of people who didn't experience a lot of this stuff and just like to make weird conservative rules. I think there's a lot of people in this world who just like to make rules of things and like spouted people and stuff, and there's a self-importance involved, but there's not an idea of liking things. And I like to get into media. There's things I don't want to talk, but I don't like to slag off stuff. And I think you have to think of, if you look at someone's content and they're always slagging on stuff, they're always criticizing stuff, like obviously I'm a critic and I review things, but they're always criticizing stuff, like always slagging stuff off for being too woke and everything, like if you go woke you get broke or something like that. Like, that's like what their life is just talking about that. Like, think of how boring that must be and how repetitive and how sad. Like, that's the thing I was thinking, was like, this is all you have to offer the world. Like, don't do things. Like, I like to watch things. I just think it's like, anyway, sorry. Let's move away from this. But the He-Man trailer was great. They did a great job. I'm excited because I think Kevin Smith is actually good with animation. And I'm excited for it. This is his first animated project series since Clerk Animated. Maybe we should talk about that. The first Kevin Smith thing with that. Anyway, sorry. I need to do a cheers to Zane Powers. Cheers to you. Thank you for the super chat. Sorry, we will move around for this. Move away from this. Claydream. This is a trailer that surprised me. I didn't know about this trailer. It's basically about Will Vinton and his fight with the Nike owner, Travis Knight's father, basically, who basically gave him the studio, and how Will Vinton's studio became Leica. Didn't we do a Saber Sparks video about this? I believe we did. Right? I think that happened. I think it happened. But I gotta say, oh, hey, Paige Howard. I didn't know the full extent of it, and I'm sure they have better research on it. It looks like a fascinating documentary, because what happened to Will Vinton and how Leica kind of, because Travis Knight basically is a rich kid. He was given Leica basically by his dad. He was a rapper at one time, actually. Someone should look that up. But I don't have anything against him as a director, but how he was put there is incredibly shady and weird. And Leica is basically funded by Nike money. If they were any normal studio, they could not still be around. It's like impossible. It's basically paid for by his dad, basically. I mean, there's like no other fucking way around it. And he basically took Will Vinton's studio from him and gave it to his son. And that's like kind of the roundabout way. It's Phil Knight, sorry. So it's Will Vinton did the California Raisins. He did a Claymation Christmas, which is a great special. He did the Mark Twain movie, which is crazy, which I believe Saber did a review of. I think I know I watched it, like it was a year ago or something. So he's done a bunch of, I'm sure he did the Noid, he done all sorts of stuff, but basically how that studio was taken from him. It's premiering at the Tribeca Film Festival, but you should check that trailer out. It's really good. I wanted to talk about that early in the show so you knew about it. It looks really cool. We got two things for Space Jam 2. One, a new trailer, which look fine. I don't feel like they're really selling it in the way that's like, to me, what was cool about it was Michael Jordan and Bugs Bunny. And that's like how it was sold. And this is just like, the brand is Space Jam. The brand isn't Bugs Bunny and LeBron. And I think it's like LeBron's in it, but I wish they just sell the legacy of it, and rather than Space Jam and like I don't know, it doesn't look great. I think it would be fun to watch it with Sophie or something, or like with a kid, but it just doesn't look amazing or anything. That was fine. There was also a 30 for 30 special, which was okay. Don Cheadle is amazing in it. Like, Don Cheadle is here to play and have fun in making of documentaries, much like he did in the DuckTales thing with his Thanos Survivor thing. He is really he's going to be fun. He might steal the movie. I'm still like half and half on this. I mean, it's not like my idea, which would have been way better, but I'm just like sort of half and half on this. I'm like, I'm sure it'll be fun, much like the original, and like how stupid you could be, pretty stupid and be an okay Space Jam thing. But I don't get like, why is Zendaya the Lola Bunny, like that just seems a little stupid to me. Like who's like, oh, but if it's Zendaya or is it Zendaya or Zendaya? I'm not sure. I apologize. But like, does anyone care that? I mean, she's Michi, frankly. To my understanding, Zendaya is Michi eternally. Like her being another character, I'm just gonna think about fucking Michi the whole time. I think we all are. Like I'm gonna like that doesn't even look like Lola. I don't even see Lola Bunny, actually. Like I saw her for a little bit and then it became Michi, and someone else told me it was Lola Bunny. It was Michi the whole time, guys. It was Michi. You know, everything's gonna be wrong this episode because Ryan Wilcherson's not here. So I'm gonna pronounce everything wrong tonight. Anyway, you've all seen the meme, the Zendaya's Michi thing, right? Everyone write Michi in the chat. Come on, let's Michi this shit up. All right, sorry. All right. Danny DeVito is grungy or grungle. Nietzsche. No, Michi. No, not existentialism. All right. Dove Cameron, who is playing Bubbles in the Powerpuff Girls pilot reboot that has been so discussed on this show, basically because there's not a ton of other news right now. So, did someone say Michi and Marie? Malcolm and Marie. I thought someone should have said Malcolm and Michi. Damn it. Could someone please just CGI Michi over her? Because that movie was so awful. Like, I stopped that. I very rarely stop a movie, but I could not watch them fight anymore. If someone could take out Zendaya or put Michi over her, just would that... I don't think anyone could argue that Malcolm and Marie would be better as Malcolm and Michi. I think I just reviewed that fucking movie right there. I think I just changed. It should be Malcolm and Michi. I think that's amazing. I'm loving this idea. Can someone do a poster? Ace the Wind Writer, can you not? I don't want any fan art of me. I just want Malcolm and Michi posters. Anyway, let's get off. Nobody cares. So, Dove Cameron, who is playing Bubbles, right? Let's say she is. In the Powerpuff Girls thing, revealed in an ET interview. This got too... I Michi'd out this podcast. That is definitely... All right. Dove Cameron revealed that the reason it was canceled, they didn't go through with it, is because they felt it was too campy, and basically they're going to go in a dark and serious thing. It sounds like they're just going to make a CW Arrowverse version of Powerpuff Girls, which is fucking boring as all hell. I was down for the campy thing. I did, like I talked about with Izzy, that whenever I did that, that I was a little worried when you do campy stuff, like the joke sort of runs its course. But if they did it, I think they did a half hour like Batman, the Adam West show, with what did Tunjay say? No, Malcolm and Michi by Linwood Boomer. Nice. Nice tune, J73. The chat is fun tonight. But I kind of just think they're like not thinking of how much fun you can have with this and what you can do with this property. It just feels like people aren't like... I think they didn't expect all the online chatter and the TMZ thing. And that does seem to be something like they were probably not prioritizing it. And it's kind of interesting, the Powerpuff Girl reboot things, because they get such backlash and such attention. You'd think Warner's would go like, hey guys, maybe we should like not fuck around with this shit. Like, why don't we just like put some attention into it and like do a decent job? And because it seems like to me, like if this doesn't work, you really should just leave the property alone for a while and just like have it be on HBO Max and all that. I think that would probably be a better idea. It's also worth noting that Dove Cameron and all that says like, oh, we're just happy, how many times you get a chance to do a character again. It's like she's contractually obligated to do this at this point, so what's she gonna be like, this fucking sucks, I hate this bullshit? I'm sure she's just like, find it, she's contractually obligated, she doesn't want to break it, so she'll just put up with it. I wouldn't be surprised if this gets canceled, but lots of things get retooled, and then they release the original trailer when the other one comes up. So we'll see what happens, but I'm just not totally excited with this. So as of right now, it just sounds disappointing. It sounds like, ugh. I mean, I kind of just think a live action Powerpuff Girls is a sort of a stupid fucking idea in general, but we'll see. So a bit of a Speed Racer reunion. Christina Ricci is going to be in Matrix 4, or most likely has already been in Matrix 4, but because they shot it already. But Christina Ricci is in Matrix 4, directed by one of the Wachowskis. I forget which one. Mostly because Lana Wachowski. Sorry. The other problem with the Wachowskis telling them apart is more because they were never really that public beforehand, so it's like they've always just sort of been. Anyway, I was thinking about today, like, how come I don't know the differences between the Wachowskis? It's because, like, I never see them ever. But Lana Wachowski, that's such a weird, stupid thing. But Christina Ricci's in it. I'm excited for her. Good for her getting that, and I'm glad the Wachowskis are still working with her. Maybe we can get a Speed Racer 2, but probably not. But Netflix, come on, man. Or HBO Max. HBO Max. That would be HBO Max, correct? I believe so. All right. Next up, the TED Show. So, what's the deal with this? There's going to be a TED prequel show on Peacock. This was a straight to series order from Peacock of this TED Show. Now, why would they do this? There's a lot of reasons. Seth MacFarlane, and this is a detail that I've noticed is not being talked about as much. Seth MacFarlane, signed a $200 million deal with NBC Universal. Basically, he doesn't want to work with Disney Fox. He wants to go somewhere else. The things we've heard that's happening with this are things like that some World War II show that he's supposedly going to be involved with, which sounds like it's a serious thing, and a Bill Nye show. So here's what I'm really getting from this TED thing is Ted was a Universal movie. It's actually a Universal movie because Fox turned it down. That's true, actually. Fox fucked up. So when Fox fucked up again, he went back to Universal and signed a deal with them, which isn't surprising. Because Fox could have had... Ted was a huge hit. Regardless of what you think of Seth MacFarlane, that was a major fuck up. It was like a complete fuck up on their part. But Universal had it, so they probably were like, look, we'll give you these $200 million. We'll bankroll your World War II show and whatever science shows, because Seth MacFarlane produces the Neil deGrasse Tyson show. He's doing Bill Nye stuff, which is great. I like that he's making informational television for adults. There's not a lot of that done at that level, so I appreciate that he does that. But I'm sure they're looking at him like, look, the Bill Nye show's great. It'll probably help get some advertisers. You can do your World War II show and have your artistic integrity that you think you have or whatever, but like you need to give us like a Family Guy type thing. And I'm sure they're like, can you do something with Ted? And he was like, fucking absolutely, I'll do a TED show. And that's how it happened. Like, I guarantee you this was like probably talked about when he was signing the $200 million deal. It is 100% that. I'm sure it'll do pretty well. I don't know, like, it seemed like by the time TED 2 happened, because he hosted the Oscars and sort of overexposed himself because he was really big in 2012. Like, whenever that came out, he was very, very, very huge celebrity. And I think the Oscars thing kind of brought him down a peg. Although I still think that Sound of Music joke in the Oscars was fucking amazing. But it's interesting. I think this has a lot to do with like how he got that deal is doing this. But it's a smart move for Peacock in a certain regard, because just Seth MacFarlane stuff still does well. I don't know how popular Ted is, but they probably have more better numbers on that since they own the property. Since it's straight to series, I'm sure they want it, but it's a Seth MacFarlane show. I'm sure that'll do well. It'll mix with their comedy. I doubt this is the last show it is. It wasn't. Mark Wahlberg and Mila Kunis aren't expected to come back. It sounds like it's going to be a Ted show, not like an animated show with Ted in it. They can have a younger Mark Wahlberg character and have some fun with it. I think if it was a teenage Mark Wahlberg and Ted, I could see that doing pretty well frankly. And much like they've done with Young Rock and everything, could do pretty well. And Will's here. Will said Ricci is having, Ricci, Christina Ricci, is making a bit of a resurgence. She's one of the stars of Karen Kusama's upcoming series Yellow Jackets, whenever that's coming out. Oh, cool. Good for Christina Ricci. Good for her. Cheers to you, Will. Thank you for being here. And in other streaming news, and this came out, well, I think we talked about Jupiter's Legacy last week, and it was kind of a weird thing because it got canceled, and then the next 2 days, it was number one on the Nielsen streaming charts, which I've never heard of that. I thought, oh, these ratings must be bad. Oh, they're not bad. What? And it got confusing. So Jupiter's Legacy, it turns out, there's a thing in Hollywood Reporter on Friday sort of explaining that it went way over budget, costing like almost like $20 million an episode or something like that. I think the whole thing got over $200 million. It went way over budget. They were trying to save it and all these things, and they just realized it wasn't worth it. Now, what I find interesting about this is, based on their streaming numbers, I don't understand why it's being canceled. Now, we're getting numbers not like, hey, all these people watch episode 1 and then just like do not watch anymore. Like, you don't fucking like this bullshit. Or is it an executive thing? Did none of that matters if like the Netflix executives just ain't feeling it? Which something's going on out there with the cats. It's sort of an interesting case, and I think a lot of people are confused because it was number one again. Like, it wasn't number one once, it was number one twice, which to me still, like, if it was a movie that cost that, we'd all be like, hey, it seems to have worked out, because did more people, like, realistically, did more people watch Jupiter's Legacy than The Irishman? And they spent a ton of fucking money on that. So I kind of wonder what this says about the business. Are you at the mercy of, like, you don't have all the information and you're at the will of the streamers that they feel like the buzz and the amount of people who are rewatching it or whatever is working for you? Now, the Super Crooks thing is still happening. It's going to connect, and they are still invested in the Millarverse or whatever. But it's just such a weird situation, because it's like, it is doing well under any expectations, but if, like, what do the numbers, see, this is why we need to understand the numbers, because it just does feel like there's an executive change up. They realized it was costing too much, it was kind of going over and stuff like that. But it's like, superhero stuff costs a ton of money. I think if you were going to, I think it was something like 30 million almost for a Marvel show on Disney Plus, apparently. And it just, to me, the whole thing with Jupiter's Legacy that's confusing is why would you cancel it that way? Like, it's just confusing. Like, I'm not saying it's a good show, just business side of it, none of this makes any fucking sense. It's confusing. I'm confused, frankly, about the whole thing. I don't understand it, and I don't think anyone does. And I think that's just going to make this a weird test case. And are we going to see shows on streamers get canceled for various different reasons that don't make a lot of sense? And I don't know if they have before, but I think this is one of the things about Jupiter's Legacy, like the failure of it, which was canceled fairly quickly, is one of the biggest question marks in entertainment right now, because I can't think of something that's it's one of the bigger things, but I mean, there aren't a lot of fans. No one seems to really like it. So maybe they're like, well, why, like, just keep spending another $200 million? But it's like, Six Underground, like, how many of you still talk about that? And they spent just as much on a 2-hour movie as they spent on one season of a TV show. And, like, are we still talking about Six Underground? Do you know anyone who watches that? Or Extraction, which got 90 million viewers or something? So it's like, there's so much of this that I'm so fucking confused about, and it makes no sense. And it's like, why not just go like, we'll make another one, but you gotta do Super Crooks, so they gotta wait, and like, we'll release everyone for this period or something like that. So it wouldn't have been a cancel, but it's just like how many of these big streaming things that they have probably spent this much money on, like Roma or something. Like, although I still hear people talk about Roma and watch Roma, so maybe that works out. But it just seems weird, I don't want to be defending this thing. I don't watch it, but I didn't watch it at all. Like I don't. It's just like the numbers. It's a strange fucking thing. It's very weird. So, Rob Zombie has confirmed that he is making a Munsters movie. Now, this is interesting because the Munsters are. Disco Spire, yeah, you owe me $600 for being late. Sure. Um. Uh. But thank you for being here. I find it. So Rob Zombie doing this is interesting because it's sort of like a much more mainstream thing. I think it's the first time he's worked on a property brand IP thing since Halloween, right? Um, I think he could do good with it. I liked El Super Beasto forever ago. That's like one of my first couple reviews. I think it'll be interesting to see what happens with this, what he does with it. He has sort of a very unique auteur sense to him, and the Monsters doesn't seem like that'll work for it. Will says, "Come on, Jim. We'll never forget those Muse needle drops from Six Underground." I'm not trying to be funny. I do not remember Muse in that, but that was something I watched while I wrapped Christmas presents, and I think fell asleep during. So I sure I maybe Muse was in that. You could have literally said any band, Will, and I would have said, yeah, it had. Did it have? By the way, does anyone remember this? Did it have the song Six Underground by the Sneaker Pimps in it? Because if it didn't, what's the fucking point of that whole movie? If there's no Sneaker Pimps on that soundtrack, just delete, make it a lost movie, because that is the dumbest crap I've ever heard. If it doesn't have Six Underground by Sneaker Pimps, great song, great song. Anyway, cheers to you, Will. I do not remember that Muse shit at all. I'm not even joking. But yeah, the Rob Zombie thing is interesting. I'm curious what he's going to do with it. It's also weird that like both of our spooky dude directors are doing remakes of, one's doing Addams Family show with Wednesday's Tim Burton, Rob Zombie's doing the Monsters. Like we're having the Monsters and Addams Family were already duking it out on TV screens in the 50s. I'm glad now they're coming back with this. They're coming back in the 2020s, fighting each other for spooky directors. This was on, but he says he's been chasing it for 20 years and all that stuff. I'm curious what we're gonna see from this and how Rob Zombie would make a comedy. I think he could do it since he loves the property. He's been trying to do it for so long, but we'll see. It's just such a weird. It's a weird turn for him, but apparently I know he's a big Three Stooges fan and he is a comedy fan, so maybe this could work out. I think this might be an interesting thing. Does anyone know about the thing? Missed opportunity. What was he wearing with the record label? I don't even know what that means, but all right. I prefer the 1972 Roma Gore Vidal eating dinner. Oh, Austin's referencing. I think I talked about this in his interview. Cheers to you, Austin. In Austin's interview, that you should go check out. Click on his icon. Go to his YouTube channel. Which, if you're watching this later, he's one of the patrons. Will be in the description. I did not get to put it while I'm streaming live, but I'm going to put it actually right after the show. Sorry about that, Austin. But so there's this movie Roma, and it's a different Roma. It's by Fellini, and it's actually about Rome, not Mexico in the 70s. It's about Rome in the 70s. And there's this end part, like he goes through this whole movie, and there's all these like stories about Rome. And at the end, they go, "What do you think of Rome, Gore Vidal?" And Gore Vidal's like eating dinner, and he turns around and he like talks about Rome, and I just thought that was really fucking funny. Anyway. So when I was doing my early reviews, I did some test ones, and one was of Roma, which I don't even know if I have of that. But yeah, that was a good interview. Austin did a good job. All right, in 2 trailers, we'll get to Ron's Gone Wrong. We've heard about this movie. I believe I briefly talked on it. The trailer looked a lot of fun. It's about a kid who basically, like, everybody is like a helper robot. He gets one, but it's sort of malfunctioning, and it's his relationship with it. It looks like fun. Like, that's the kind of fun, kind of trailer you'd want from something like that. Like a cool buddy movie. Like, he's an awkward kid with no friends. He's a malfunctioning robot. Comedy, a collision course to wackiness and so forth. Man, someone needs to put that in a trailer again. Medela Butterfly says, did you ever see the Mockingbird Lane pilot? I did not. I listened to the Canceled Too Soon episode. I'm a big Canceled Too Soon fan. But I've read about it a bunch of times. Cheers to you, Medela Butterfly. Thank you for reminding us all about that. I hope His Monsters isn't like Mockingbird Lane. I think it should be like a funny thing. That's so weird from Rob Zombie, but he did write Dragula, and Dragula is not funny. So, cheers to you, sir. Or I'm assuming, I don't know. Anyway, yes, Ron's Gone Wrong look great. Monsters at Work, we got a trailer for that. That's coming out this summer. That also looks good. Sorry, I keep touching my hair and stuff. That also, I need to get a haircut. That also looks like a lot of fun. It doesn't feel like it has an amazing hook, but I feel like kids are gonna I think Sophie would watch that with me, so I'm excited for it. It looks like a fine follow up. It honestly looks like a better follow up than Monsters University to me, at least. Oh, here we go. Saw the latest M5 record got poor blah reviews. Needless to say, Maroon 5 is an irrelevant dinosaur. I don't think Maroon 5 has anyone. I've never liked Maroon 5 on Box 64. I've always thought of them as the Lamersons of music. They're just so... I've never liked them at all. I'm not surprised. I like listening to reviews like Todd in the Shadows or something about it, but cheers to you. We killed a rebel. For that Maroon 5 break. Da-da-da, da-da-da, Maroon 5 break. Where are we? Okay. So, I don't know if anyone cares about this, but I found this to be interesting. There's this film called The Menu, and I'm going to describe it for you. I'm going to describe it and then talk about the whole deal with it. Okay. I wrote my notes in a weird way. It was like, wait, where's the part? All right, so The Menu, so basically the deal with The Menu, what I'm talking about, is originally it was going to be directed by Alexander Payne, starring Emma Stone, and that fell apart. Like, Alexander Payne has so many properties that were supposed to happen with this person. Like, him and Reese Witherspoon have been trying to reunite for, since election, and I don't think it's happened yet. And it's like, I want that to happen, but I like Alexander Payne. He made the original Descendants movie before the Disney kids ruined it. We have another Red Bull, so next Super Chat will open the new Red Bull, I guess. But so this is a script he was really considering, and he had Emma Stone, and now it's not going to, he's directed by someone else, but Ralph Fiennes is in it, and who is directing it? I'm in it. Ralph Fiennes is in it. It doesn't sound like they have a director. Anyway, McKay's producing it, but Anna Taylor-Joy is taking over the role that Emma Stone was going to be, and this is the plot, and Ralph Fiennes in it as well. Set in the world of eccentric culinary culture, The Menu follows a young couple who visit an exclusive restaurant on a remote island where an acclaimed chef, Ralph Fiennes, or Ralph Fiennes, no, Rafe Fiennes, not Ralph, sorry, has prepped a lavish tasting menu. Taylor-Joy will play one half of the couple that will be, but there will be an entire dining table full of guests, and sources say the producers have been courting Daniel Radcliffe, Ralph Fiennes' Harry Potter star, to play himself. So Daniel Radcliffe, the actor, is a character in this, and they're trying to get Daniel Radcliffe to play himself in this whole thing. Is like part of it. It's always apparently been part of the script that Daniel Radcliffe is in it. And apparently they don't have Daniel Radcliffe signed on, which to me is like why specifically Daniel Radcliffe? I'm very curious. Sometimes I get very curious about movies that have weird developments, even if like that aren't great, like Town and Country. endlessly fascinating to read about. I've never seen it, and it looks like the most boring thing in the universe. Same with like Tristan and Isolde, which ended up starring James Franco, was like a movie Ridley Scott thought about for 20 years, and then happened with James Franco with someone else. It's just like this looks to me like interesting. I'm curious to deal with this. We'll see about that. Um, but it's just funny. Like I think you could get Daniel Radcliffe, but I just like, why wouldn't you just do that? So there's going to be a new version of Christine. This is going to be directed by Brian Fuller, who's helped make things like Hannibal and a bunch of shows. And he's actually never really directed a film before, which actually surprised almost everyone. Was like, oh, we all thought he had, but he never has actually. This is directorial debut of a new version of Christine. Normally, I'd say never direct anything that John Carpenter has already done. That's like a terrible idea. Has that ever worked out for anyone? Trying to think if it has. I don't think it has. Like maybe like sequels, but not direct things. Although his version of Christine was really his like way to get in Hollywood good graces after The Thing, which was a big bomb and publicly didn't critics didn't like and all this stuff. It was kind of like a way to bring Carpenter back. So it's not like it's not like I wouldn't put I think Christine is better than people give it credit for, but it's not like They Live or Halloween or Assault on Precinct 13. It's not like The Thing or like one of the top tier ones in my mind is like second. It's like if it's at top tier, it's at the bottom of the top tier or something like that. So I think there is room that you could do something. Apparently it's going to be more based on the book, although it's not anyone's favorite book if you most Stephen King fans, but whatever. John Carpenter actually, I think he turned down Firestarter, but he did Christine. Was the deal with that? I know he didn't do Firestarter, but I know he did Christine. So we'll see what happens with this and Brian Fuller. It's kind of interesting. I don't think it's a terrible idea, but I think also it's like there's other Stephen King books. Why don't we do that instead of? Is Christine enough of a brand? Like Firestarter, I get because that's like 11 on Stranger Things, so it's like kind of weird they haven't done it at this point. Like I honestly think Firestarter, they waited too long. Like Firestarter, like when Stranger Things season 1 came out, they should have been like, oh, we better make Firestarter like right now, even though these guys sort of did it better than the Drew Barrymore movie that was the original one, but whatever. We heard the Cowboy Bebop theme song with the actors. It was a dumb trailer. I'm not super excited for this. I like John Cho a lot, actually. From what I've seen of Wish Dragon, he was great in that. And it was sort of dumb. I was just like, whatever. It's part of the Geek Week thing that Netflix is doing. We also got we'll do this first. So there was controversy over Spiderman and His Amazing Friends, a show that is meant for little kids. So, of course, adults who will never watch it have to give their opinion on it, which is a thing that happens frequently. The fuck? I really hate this, by the way, because it's like they got in this whole thing like this song is awful, all this stuff. It's like even the kids who watch this show will hit skip theme on whatever streaming service this ends up on because no kid's going to watch it on regular TV. It wasn't a great song, to be honest with you. I think very many kid theme songs, little kid show theme songs are pretty fucking terrible, especially intros. The only one that was interesting was that Rocketeer show because as her friends and her gained more like gadgets and stuff, each intro theme would add the gadgets. So you actually like, if you watched the theme, like if you started the show, you would actually know where you were in the continuity in a way. You're like, oh, he has the car now and the dog has this and her jetpack's like this. You would know, which I thought was actually really cool. Rocketeer show, mad underrated, I have to say. But this was just like, it's fine. Like most kids aren't going to see it. And when it airs on TV, they'll cut it till like 5 seconds. Like who gives a shit? Like it's like the dumbest. Like if you don't have kids or you don't have a younger sister, brother, or a cousin, or some child who lives with you who's young who watches these shows, I don't want to hear shit from you. It is a stupid opinion. This is nothing. It's like this show is trying to get publicity. I actually, from Facebook and other places, knew people who worked on it, and then people who worked really hard on it, and then they saw it like just torn apart. by people who are never going to watch the show. And it's like, cool. Now all the publicity of any adult who looks it up when their kid likes it will go, oh, this show sucks, apparently. It's just like, people need to get over themselves. It's really... It's really stupid. I don't know. It annoys me. So, whatever. I'm going to move on. Sorry. So Mike Myers is coming back in a thing called the What? Maroon 5. Well, now I hate it. I didn't know if Maroon 5 did it. Now I hate it. Okay. Change everything I said. Age is just a number, Zane Powers. Are you saying that to hate on the Spider-Man show, or are you saying that it's a little kid? It's like, there's a difference between respecting good animation and little kid show. Trust me. But cheers to you, Zane Powers. Oh yeah, I saw the Toucan Birdie thing. Dana Delaney. That float's going to be in New York and stuff, and I don't think I'll get to see it. That sucks. I didn't ever get to watch season 1 of Toucan Birdie. I should. It seems like a cool show. Maybe I will catch up on that soon. I would like to. It seems like up my alley. But good for Adult Swim for bringing it back and promoting it, because I keep seeing that float everywhere. And if I was around and I knew it was going to be somewhere where I was going to be, I would have filmed it. But I'm just not going to have it. So, thanks, Marley. How's it going? Number 1 Avatar fan, Marley. Sorry to call you out. Or not. He's proud. He's not sorry. Alright. So Mike Myers is working on a thing that I'm going to mispronounce the fuck out of. Let's see me do it. It's called the Pentaverate. It is basically about 7. It's this idea, and he talked about it in a clip from So I Married an Axe Murderer. The Pentaverate is it's basically is comprised of the Queen, the Vatican, the Gettys, the Rothschilds, and Colonel Sanders. And it's basically about this organization who controls the world, and or their influence. It's basically the 5 men have been working to influence the world events for the greater good since the Black Plague of 1347. As the show begins, one unlikely Canadian journalist, of course, finds himself embroiled in a mission to uncover the truth and just possibly save the world himself. The thing is, this is cool, actually, because I think Mike Myers is best when he basically reuses ideas. That's kind of what he does. Much like how Fat Bastard is Shrek's voice, much like how you probably saw an Austin Powers impression on an old SNL skit. Like, it's just there, it happens. Like it's just a thing with him. It's also how comedy works a lot of time, but Mike Myers specifically. So I think this is actually like a good idea, since it's like a concept we've heard him talk about. Since it's all these things, I'm actually excited for it, and the cast in this sounds actually really good. He has wow, this is a fucking good cast. There's people in here we're not talking about, actually. Everyone goes Keegan-Michael Key. Keegan-Michael Key, underrated. How talented that guy is. Like a insanely great comedic character actor, whatever. I mean, he was, the guy in Key and Peele who wasn't Peele, I guess. Ken Jeong, who's great, but also Debbie Mazar, Richard McCabe, barely know that, but also, let's say this right now, Linda West, but also Jennifer fucking Saunders from Ab Fab. Are you kidding me right now? You got Keegan-Michael Key, you got Jennifer Saunders, and Mike Myers. That sounds awesome. I'm down for that. That sounds great. Mike Myers will play several characters, because of course he will. That sounds cool. It's part of his Netflix deal. But I would like a Mike Myers comeback. I think it's probably harder for him because let's just say he's not the wokest in my estimation of things. Not that he's that inappropriate. I think he's probably a good guy. Apparently he met everyone who did a voice for Shrek in every language. I remember I've heard him talk about that several times, and I think that's cool because he's the only one I've ever heard of doing that. Maybe other people did, but he's the only one I've heard of doing that. But yeah, I'm excited for that. I think it could work out for him. And seriously, that is a killer comedic cast. Like, fuck. Like, also, don't lead your cast when you have Jennifer fucking Saunders. Why is she not on any picture or article I found is Mike Myers, Ken John, Keegan Michael Key. Jennifer Saunders deserves to be on there. Ab Fab is a fucking classic. There will be no questions. Moving on. It's fucking true. Ab Fab, the original run, when it comes back all those times, it gets a little less. And I didn't even see the movie. But that original run, mwah, mwah, wonderful. All right. We do have the DVD box set somewhere. It might be in there, but we watched it a lot. So, loved Rinder. Oh, I loved. Austin says loved Linda Richmond on SNL, Coffee New York or Coffee Talk. I loved. Oh, remember the one who was like Roseanne, Madonna, and Mike Myers? That's like a classic. I remember just being like, oh my god, look at this celebrity cast. That was great. Cheers to you, Austin. Thank you for that. Zane Powers, how can the guy who made Love Guru fall so much? He's been trying to make you forget Love Guru, Zane Powers. He's been trying, but cheers to you, Zane Powers. You know what's funny? This is the only time since like 1998 that Mike Myers is more socially acceptable than Justin Timberlake. I just realized that. Nanbox64 saw that Taylor Swift will be in the David O. Russell film along with Myers, Shannon, Robbie, and others. That is true. I don't know. I think it's a small role. Apparently, she's been only there for a few days. She's kind of trying the acting thing. I don't think it really took. So far, she hasn't had the role, other than Cats, which was, is the best thing she's going to be in. So whatever. But I think she really wants it to work. We'll see what happens. David O. Russell is a problematic jerk, but we'll see what happens. I'm on a roll tonight a little bit. Too many Red Bulls too fast? I don't know. Cheers to you, Nantwack64. All right. So the Lord of the Rings anime. The Lord of the Rings anime is going to be called The War of So there's a Lord of the Rings anime, and it is going to be directed by Kenji Kamiyama, I believe. Kamiyama. I apologize. I don't know his work necessarily. But that actually sounds really cool. Hold on. Mandela Butterfly says, how many Red Bulls do you buy a week, sugar-free? I only buy the 2 for the show. This is my Red Bull cheat day. Mandela Butterfly. Cheers to you. But I buy them in advance. I should have put them in the freezer. It's getting a little hotter, but they're still cold. I'm still good. I do remember The Giver. I reviewed The Giver. But I do think the idea of a Lord of the Rings anime made by WB, which sounds like apparently they retained the rights to do it in animation, I guess, or how it'd be Lord of the Rings, because I guess they have the rights to Lord of the Rings, not to the Silmarillion, the other stuff. I'm not sure. The rights thing seems even major journalists are like, I'm not sure how this works, but whatever. However, this sounds cool. Philippa Boyens, who helped write The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, I believe, with Fran Walsh and Peter Jackson. So she is going to be a consultant on this. Great for her. This sounds cool. Lord of the Rings obviously has a long history in animation, from The Hobbit, which was by Stagecraft, who would actually eventually become Studio Ghibli, which were basically hired by Rankin and Bass. I think they just called someone and sent them a script and a check. And Ralph Bakshi obviously did Lord of the Rings, and then did Rankin Bass do the Return of the King? I forget. But those are all, I grew up with those movies actually. When I was a kid in the 90s. There was a summer, I forget which summer, that Bakshi Lord of the Rings was the thing we played, because we had read The Hobbit, but the Lord of the Rings were too intimidating, so we just watched the Ralph Bakshi movie. And I remember there's a kid who was like Gollum, there was a kid who was a Frodo, I think I was Aragorn or whatever. It was a fun summer. But there is a history there, and I think it is something that they can exploit. And I also think of all the properties who are like, what if we did an animated thing? The history is already there. There are kids. I talked to people who liked Lord of the Rings, seriously did, and still liked rewatching the Bakshi Lord of the Rings. Still liked it. So I think the fan base is already there. I think it's probably a smarter move than spending half the money in the world on a live action Lord of the Rings show to be like Game of Thrones. This is already in the property. I think it is a smart move. It's supposedly about what was it? Oh, how Helm's Deep. It's like the history of Helm's Deep and so forth. So that sounds fucking interesting as all hell. We learned that the Aquaman sequel will be called Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. Apparently, it's about one of the kingdoms that wasn't mentioned or something. Whatever. It comes out December 16th, 2022. Unless there's like another plague that year or something. I don't know. But most likely it'll come out then. We found out the villain, who is both cast and who is the villain in the She-Hulk show. It's going to be Titana, I believe, played by Jamila Jamil. There we go. From A Good Place. Sorry. I think she would be great as a villain. She'll be playing against Tatiana Maslany. I think that could be a really good team. I think that's really exciting. She really hasn't acted that much. I didn't know that, actually. I was kind of surprised because she was pretty good on The Good Place. But I think she could really have fun being an antagonist. So to me, that sounds like great casting. I'm excited for She-Hulk. In general, I like the kind of John Byrne. Was it John Byrne or Peter? I forgot who wrote it. But it was kind of like what Deadpool was pre-Deadpool and stuff like that. So I'm curious if they'll do that. We Bear Bears. You have to hurry this shit up. Running out of time here. We Bear Bears. We learned that We Baby Bears will actually be released in January 2022. This is not a delay. I want to explain this again. Sometimes things are delayed for good reasons, and anytime something's delayed, people get nervous. That does not always mean that. And especially when the CEO of the company sort of explains that's not what they're doing, then that is actually not what they're doing. So it's like, understand how the business works and when they explain things. I just want to say that. But what they're going to do with We Baby Bears is have a global launch on HBO Max and Cartoon Network. So it's going to be an even bigger launch than they could have done had they launched it in the spring, which obviously they didn't because it's the summer. So it sounds like they're launching it even bigger. And what we also learned from this kind of press conference interview thing, that the Baby Bears, they did an analysis of We Bear Bears and found that the Baby Bear episodes did better in rating. He didn't say ratings. He said they would always do better, which we assume are ratings, but who knows at this point. So that's how they knew that they should do a Baby Bear spin-off, which is interesting. They look at specific episodes. So that's interesting, but it's also cool they're really going to push it. I also think, to be honest, like, that movie didn't put the best taste in my mouth, and I noticed Sophie and I stopped watching We Bear Bears. And I think if, like, We Baby Bears suddenly came back on HBO Max at January 2022, I'd be more into it. I didn't really like, I don't know, the movie was, like, too serious. So we've learned that the Velma show that Mindy Kaling is producing is going to be animated. She's going to voice it, and she's going to be South Asian, and it's not going to involve Shaggy and Scooby. Depending on the press release report, whatever you read, she is either a prequel or just is like if Shaggy and Scooby aren't there. That's fine. There's so many different versions of Scooby-Doo. There have been Asian versions of Velma before even. That it's like, okay, like, we have so much Scooby media. We can have a different Velma show. Mindy Kaling's a great writer. I think she could do interesting things with Velma. Also, that Velma has always been... I guess Velma's been a little bit gay, so they can play with that as well. I think there's a lot to play with here. I'm not against. I know people have, like, freaked out about it, but again, it's freaked out by people who don't fully understand Scooby-Doo and understand we have so much Scooby media. You should be able to have a creator do something different with it, which is also what I like about Warner's and HBO Max is, like, they let the banana splits happen. Like, they'll let different things happen with their IP, and I think that's actually healthy and really good. I think they're actually one of the better companies at that, and they're not doing it to, like, get woke. They're doing it to, like, do interesting things and refresh their IP, basically. Like, we wouldn't have been talking about banana splits 2 summers ago had they not done that. It was a smart move. It brought it more up in the pop culture lexicon. It's a smarter move for Velma. I think I'm excited for the show. I think I'm at least going to watch the beginning. It's interesting. Natbox64, no surprise, as I said, kids don't watch cable. True. I should have said that. Thank you, Natbox64. Cheers to you. In This is the weirdest news I got, and when people were when I asked the Discord, what should I talk about, and they mentioned this, I was like, what are they talking about? And it is the yes, the Will Smith thing, is getting a samurai spin-off, basically an anime samurai spin-off about Izzo, a Ronin, and Raiden, an orc, work to bring a young elf girl and the wand she carries to the land of the elves in the north. That sounds better than fucking the movie Bright, but that just is the weirdest spin-off I've ever heard. I'm sort of into it, but let's go. Conan is going to end on June 24th, and his final guest will be Jack Black. His second final guest will be Dana Carvey, so it sounds like a lot of good interviews for Conan O'Brien. I'm excited to see what happens to him after this. It's sad to see him go, especially because I feel like during the pandemic he was getting pretty great reviews, but we'll see. I'm sort of running out of time, so I need to hurry this shit up. Okay, so the Kim's Convenience thing. I'm a fan of Kim's Convenience. I was sort of getting aware in the last few weeks of that there were problems on set with the writers. I didn't know they had an all-white writers team, which is pretty shocking considering it is about a Korean family running a convenience store. It's probably one of my favorite sitcoms I've seen in a long time, and I think it deserves to be one of the great sitcoms right now. It seems like there are all sorts of problems, and they didn't like how they're being portrayed, and because of Corona, they got scripts early, and they saw like things they were playing that were really inappropriate and didn't seem like very good. To be honest, if I was in that situation personally, and I was in a writer's room for a show like Kim's Convenience, and I noticed like it was all white people, I would actually, I don't know what the cast suggestions were. I didn't see that in any of the articles. I mean, if they were like really horrible or something. But at some point, I would be like, can we get some Asian writers? Because like there's certain perspectives and cultures and like cultural differences that you'd want to talk about, and you can't because you don't know. And it just seems unfortunate. And there was various problems on set because of that. They also talked about like how they were doing better in the ratings in Canada and overall, and Schitt's Creek was getting paid more. That's more of an agent thing. I want to say that clearly. Because people misheard me when I was talking about it with someone earlier. Because I'm assuming in Schitt's Creek, Eugene Levy and Catherine O'Hara are probably better agents than the people in Kim's Convenience, who are rather new. But that shouldn't have been the case. Regardless, the industry set up like that. I don't agree with it, but that's probably how that happened. I think that's unfortunate. If you're planning on watching the show, I would still say to do it. They're still happy with the show. They're still glad what they did with it. It was unfairly canceled because it just seems like it wasn't run very well. It's sad that the spinoff from it is of like one of the only white characters is just really unfortunate. But I still think it's a good show. I'm happy that that guy has spun off and become in Shang-Chi and stuff like that. But it's unfortunate that was handled that way, and frankly, I think the writers should have handled it better. But yeah. I noticed when you talk about that, you have to really say the G, and I noticed it. Anyway, I noticed I was like, I think that might be misinterpreted. Okay, so Medea is coming back for Netflix. Even though Tyler Perry said he was done with Medea, I don't have much to add to that, but Medea is back, I guess. Okay, we need to hurry this up because we got some segments. And okay, I really don't want to go long tonight. So a Quibi show has been brought back, which is now a Roku original, because they're not Quibis anymore, baby. They're Roku originals. But it has been renewed, actually. The Kevin Hart produced show Die Hart has been renewed at Roku for a second season. This is the first Quibi show that has been renewed. Now, Reno 911 has kept going at a different service. That doesn't really count. And as a different thing entirely, I believe. But Quibi. A Quibi show has lived on as a Roku original. I'm curious how long it'll run as a Roku original. But this is what Roku really wanted. They wanted a ton of original content that they have for their own thing. They have a show with Kevin Hart involved in it. I don't know if I didn't watch Die Hard, but they have Kevin Hart, who's still a draw to people. And so Quibi will continue on and will not stop. And now with Kevin Hart, which sounds pathetic, but maybe for Kevin Hart, but we'll see from there. The best thing they had was the Reno 911 thing, frankly. I heard about the Movie Pass thing. I'm not super surprised that they would deceive users to use it less, because I kept seeing that sort of happen when I used the service towards the end. I'm not entirely surprised by any of that. They were a fucking shady company at the end. At the beginning, they were a great company, but by the end, they were pretty horrible. So it's unfortunate, but that's what happened. I wasn't really surprised by that. I was kind of like, yeah, New York Times. I mean, it wasn't ultimately very surprising. I just thought it was expected. So Warner Brothers has said basically what they're doing for 2022, and what they're planning on doing is basically, of the roughly 20 Warner Brothers movies that Warner Brothers makes annually in the coming years, basically 10 to 12 will be designated specifically for HBO Max. We've seen this for a recent, the No Sudden Move, which I'll talk about in a little bit in trailers and stuff for Steven Soderbergh. We're seeing this with various things. They're going to make movies that will be done like just a Warner Brothers movie, but it'll go to HBO Max. The other 10 to 12 will launch in theaters exclusively for at least 45 days. It sounds like the movie companies and the streamers have shrunken the theatrical window to 45 days. We're going to see that standard HBO Max doing as well. So that's what's basically going to be going on from now on. We're going to see, if you don't want to see the movie or financially can pay for an HBO Max subscription but can't pay to see all those movies every month in theaters, you can probably just avoid going to theaters. I'm really curious what's going to happen to the theater industry as this takes flight. We're seeing that with In the Heights. There's all these people getting upset that In the Heights didn't do well. I'm not really surprised, because In the Heights isn't a name. I think people who are into Broadway don't understand that, most people don't know anything about Broadway at all, and they need to it's like I don't go down the street and go hey, what, you haven't heard of 12-ounce mouse? I'm not an insane crazy person, but most people don't know what Dear Evan Hansen is. They know what Hamilton is, because Hamilton went mainstream, was huge. In the Heights is Lin-Manuel Miranda, but In the Heights was a hit in New York, but did not break out from that. So to me, it's I wasn't surprised by that box office, but I know people were upset. But anyway, good night, Superdrive Minion. And Nanbox64 says, I remember the silly Twitter ad for Gotti. I sort of remember that. Oh, Gotti. Oh, cheers to you, Gotti, and to you, Nanbox64. Let's just do some. This is basically trailers and stuff. Miss Piggy is going to be on Drag Race. I've only watched the John Waters episode of Drag Race, but that sounds great. Maybe I'll watch a second episode of Drag Race. We got a first look at Maya and the Three, which looks great. I'm excited to watch that with Sophie, because she's watched Book of Life with me a lot. I saw Jordan Bouchard reposted my Book of Life review, which I was it's not as positive as it would be now. It's a great movie to show for kids, especially ones that like Coco a lot, to show them a film that's actually made by from a Mexican auteur perspective, not a white guy perspective. Although I think they're both valid films, but it's probably better to give kids that exposure. But I'm excited for that. I think Jorge Gutierrez needs to come back. We got one at, I think it's called Reception, a first look from the Netflix show. That looks interesting. Captain Laserhawk, a Blood Diamond remix. I barely understand what that is, but the picture looked neat. And then trailers. Here we go. So, No Sudden Move, in the Steven Soderbergh film. It looks really cool. It's basically a kidnap thing. You get a lot of cool people like David Harbour. I don't know. It looks like a cool Soderbergh kidnap thing taking place in, it was the 30s or 40s or something. Is Don Cheadle there? God damn, I'm forgetting everything about this. Hold on. I want to actually know what I'm talking about. Steven Soderbergh is in it. Okay, here we go. I was right. Don Cheadle, Julia Fox, Brendan Fraser, Benicio del Toro, John Hamm, David Harbour. It looks like a cool cast. They have these cool like kind of 30s 40s masks on. I'm excited for that. I'm a Sonnenberg fan. I need to watch his last HBO Max. I need to catch up on Sonnenberg, but I would like to see that. We have the trailer for Tick Tick Boom, which is Lin-Manuel Miranda's directorial debut. It is a musical. It's about basically a musical about the writer of Rent and him hearing a clock because he like died right before it went on or some. I'm not the biggest Rent person. Like Nolan made me review it, but the whole lore of Rent and how people get into it, I just never was not my thing. But it looks like a cool movie. There's a trailer for a film called The God Committee, which looks really good. It has Kelsey Grammer, Julia Stiles, Janine Garofalo, Francisco Domingo. It's basically about this committee who, after a kid dies and he's a heart donor. You have to decide what to do with the heart, and as they designate it for someone, and then that person dies before they can give them the heart, they now have to figure out who it give the heart to. And there's this wealthy guy who's going to give the hospital like $25 million. They give it to him, and what should they do? And basically, like this kind of interesting, actually really interesting medical drama. It seems I'm curious about that one. That sounds, from the premise or from the trailer, it looks really cool. Actually, we had a Fear Street trailer, which is interesting because it basically, each one is, there's 3 films. Originally was supposed to come out a different month in a summer when I think Warner's or Fox or whomever had it. It's on Netflix, so every week in July, the first 3 weeks of July, we're getting a different Fear Street movie. I believe it starts more modern, and by the end they're in like the 1600s. It's basically a trailer for the whole thing. A lot of people are wondering, are we going to get trailers for each individual one? Who knows? But it looks like a really cool kind of film series. I think people could get into that. I didn't grow up with the Fear Street things. I was more of a Goosebumps kid. But it looks like an interesting experiment. We're getting an extended trailer for Jurassic World, the new Jurassic World. Oh, God, I forgot about the boombox thing. Thanks, Austin. We're getting an extended trailer for the Jurassic World thing before Fast 9, because it looks like you see the mosquito on the dinosaur in there. It looks like sort of a prequel to the Jurassic Park stuff. I'm assuming that's what it is. We'll see what the whole deal is with that. But it looks kind of cool, so we'll see what happens there. I don't think we'll actually get it released for a while. Apparently it is exclusive to IMAX. I've seen them do that before with IMAX stuff, and they really are trying to get people back to the theater, so I think that's why they're giving a more extended look. I am surprised because I thought we were going to get more Jurassic World short films before this, and it seems like we haven't, so I'm wondering if they'll do that within the next year. That was halted because of COVID, or they only did that one. Remember that? That was kind of neat. We got another Free Guy trailer, which made it look more enticing because it's more of like the idea of like existence and like God and like all this stuff within a video game. It looked a lot deeper than before. It looked sillier, and I guess because they made so many of these trailers, they're like, let's really go for it. We got Hail to the Deadities, which is a documentary about Evil Dead fandom, which looked really cool. We got a trailer for Teen Titans Go Watch Space Jam, which sort of explained that whole premise and that thing. And then, as Sinram said, we got a trailer for Eyes of Tammy Faye. This looks really cool with Andrew Garfield. Andrew Garfield was in 2 trailers this week with Tick Tick Boom, and I should have said that. Andrew Garfield is making a comeback, baby, and a nearly unrecognizable Jessica Chastain. It looks like a fun script and a cool movie. I believe it's directed by Michael Showalter, which is interesting. I didn't expect him to be still doing it at this point. I was kind of surprised by that, actually. But it looks like a cool idea. I don't know the script. I don't know the documentary, which I know people have proclaimed. But yeah, I had heard it was a blacklist script and a script people were really interested in. So yeah, that looks like an interesting movie and one I'm excited to check out. Apparently Sinram is too, and you should watch Sinram's channel as well if you haven't. Okay, 2 things before I do Obits and take a break. I keep seeing these things about how there's Spawn is in development, Sam and Twitch is in development. Here's my thing with all the Spawn stuff. Until he lands like a deal and people are casting, I've been hearing this since like 1997. Just like make a Spawn thing or something, man. It's just like we've been hearing about this for so long. I know he's talking about Sam and Twitch. I know he's talking about Spawn. just like make it. What is the problem with these deals? Like, what are you pitching? Like, I'm just so curious what the issue is. There's a great Twitter thread from the director of Wish Dragon about him and his friend and Wish Dragon that is wonderful, and I will try to retweet tomorrow. I keep forgetting to, but it's absolutely wonderful. If you haven't seen it, about his friend and how he wanted to watch it together but he couldn't because of COVID, and the genesis of this idea of Wish Dragon, which actually comes from Chinese folklore, which was then, I believe it was Chinese folklore, which was then went on to actually influence the story of Aladdin, and it's actually really great. I think, yeah, it is a Chinese folk tale. It's actually a really great Twitter thread, so I'll try to retweet that. And we're getting a Tom and Jerry series on HBO Max with Tom and Jerry in New York, as well as we got the Super Pets thing, which I'm not excited for. It just looks like they did a Secret Life of Pets with superheroes, so that's a thing. All right. Let's do Obits. So we lost. I guess the world lost an animator who taught the only animation production class I ever formally took. I did a lot of animation, like, and worked with you know who and all that stuff, and they taught me a lot of stuff, and I'm very grateful for that. But the only actually animation production class I took, I was out of college, was with this animator Don Duga. Don Duga worked on a lot of great animated things over the years and did a lot of great work, but the main thing people knew him for was the Frosty the Snowman Christmas short that people know to this day. He did some, I believe, character designs and some stuff for it. Regardless of what he did for it, the main reason he was known for it was because he would go to orphanages and all sorts of things and draw Frosty the Snowman on places for kids. He was like known for it. He would talk about it. When I took his class, he talked about it a lot, actually. And he was like, well, I'm actually really busy because I'm going around drawing Frosty the Snowman. And I always remember that about him. He was always really cool. We all had our own weird shorts. Mine was Parts. It's on this channel. I didn't really want to plug it, but just so you have some context, we all had our own weird shorts. They were all very different. Some of them worked, some of them didn't. But if I'm being honest, it was actually a really fun class. It was my only real adult education class I ever got to take. But it's sad to have lost him. He was an older guy. It was actually a really great class. I don't have a ton to say about him other than he gave me a lot of confidence in my own life in animation, because obviously I didn't major in it. And I often work with people who were very qualified and very much knew what they were doing. And he gave me a lot of confidence. And when I would tell him about it, thing with him is I tried taking other animation classes and I could never really do it because it is a lot of work. And artist wise, I'm not the greatest artist or anything like that. But he really believed anyone could do it. And I do think that's a better place to be in. I don't actually agree that only the greatest, artists should be animators. And he was very supportive of so many people. And I talked to so many people later who said, maybe, I don't know him personally, but I will say he had the patience for a lot of people to give them that one short or something. And I was very happy to have him help me out in the time I had. But I also think of, anytime I watch that Frosty the Snowman short, thought of all the joy he brought to people from just being associated with that. And I think that's an amazing thing, He didn't have to deal with kids, but he was known for it. I still heard about it years later. So I'm sad to have lost him. I really haven't seen him since I did that short with him, which was like in 2008 or something. But I'm happy to have, had a little bit of time with that guy, and he sounds like a great person. So, in general, thoughts with his family, and that's my only obit this week. He wasn't. There are other teachers who had major big influences on my life and stuff, but for the little time I had with him and the little short I got to make with him, it's a moment I won't forget, and I really like that. And I think he's always sounded to me like a real stand-up guy and a real amazing person. So I'm sorry for his loss. All right. There was a super chat. Here we go. Hot take, SPA Illumination. SPA. What's SPA? Oh, Sony Pictures Animation. Well, I'm not going to disagree with that. Not backseat for it. Cheers to you. All right. So, what is going to happen with this part of the show? I am going to do two things. We're going to talk about Us Again, which was the Disney animated short that came out on Disney Plus, and I'm going to talk about Loki, and then I will do questions. I'm just going to go to the bathroom real quick and maybe refresh my water, and then we'll do that. So I don't have anything cool to show. I wanted to have something, but I don't. So you can just watch this background. Maybe I would put Toulouse here, but it would rile him up too much. But I can put Sophie's Mickey Mouse here. Maybe I'll do that. You can all watch Mickey Mouse while I'm gone. Will he even register? Well, let's see. Let's do that. Hold on. Ow. Okay, I'm okay. Can you stay there? Okay. Can you watch everybody? Thanks. I'll be back. Okay. Let's put. Go back, Mickey. Okay, that's Sophie's Mickey Mouse. Ugh. Sorry, I do check the chat. Jim the Wit. Wow, there's a lot of chat this time. Okay, I'll reread it later. Well, thank you all for being here. It's very nice of you, by the way. All right, so let's get into it. I like to not go late, but we'll see. Hello, Elnick. Oh, Buster, you want to be on the screen? Do you want to be? Buster. Ugh. How you doing tonight, man? You okay? Hello, buddy. Huh? You didn't watch us again, did you? What was that? What was that with your tooth? What are you doing? Are you threatening the viewers? Don't do that. Well, anyway. Ugh. Ah, tail got in my mouth, man. Alright. King of the stream. I like that. I told my wife about that. I was like, you know, people call him King of the Stream, Buster. You know what's funny though? When I shoot those other videos, you can kind of hear him purring on the mic. I can't get rid of it. He I think in the not the Jane Silent Bob one, but in the what was the other one? Conjuring 3. I think you can hear him purring. I think you can hear him purring in like anyone with that background. He's usually like sitting on the bed purring. Buster's threatening the chat. I like that. Okay. We got the Red Bull here. We got the water. Okay. So, shouldn't put my face on a fluffy cat when I'm about to talk on a stream. Ugh. Okay. Where Buster is omnipresent. That is kind of true. All right, so moving here. Hold on. Let's move that there. That there. If you knew how many windows I have up just to do this stream, it's crazy. All right, so Us Again. Now I'm going to do a segment on Us Again. Us Again is a short I played before Raya and the Last Dragon in theaters. I don't think it was there for Premiere Access, which I totally paid for legally. But, however, it is now available on Disney Plus. So if you did not possibly play for Premiere Access or didn't see Raya and the Last Dragon in theaters, you can now see it if you have a Disney Plus subscription. What Us Again is about, it's about a couple, an old guy who can't get up from his chair but needs to close the window with his walker, which is a thing, I guess. And they don't dance anymore, and they're like old people, and that's sad, I guess. And then the old woman, basically, or wife, leaves, and the old guy gets out, and it rains, and it makes him young again, and he starts dancing. And then he finds her, and they do an amazing dance in the rain, because this dance makes only them young again, and how much they love dancing and everything like that. This was a very sweet little short. I liked what it did with the rain. I liked what it did talking about aging and marriage, changing as a couple, accepting what you have around you, which is like such a fucking Pixar Disney thing, but whatever. And even the idea of like the husband gets sort of obsessed with following the rain so he can stay young, because anytime they're under the rain, they're young and they can dance around and everything like that. The spirit of this is wonderful, and the spirit of this is wonderful and glorious, and you see kind of like them like appreciating each other once again. And what I like about this short, that this is more based on a moment. This is what shorts are really good at. Shorts are really good at capturing, like, other than like, a feature, is you can capture a moment, like this moment where they realize they love each other, they love dancing, they love doing all these things together, and they had this great night together. And maybe it's just this one night. Maybe tomorrow he's going to sit on that fucking chair again and close the stupid window with his walker and all that stuff. But tonight they're in love, they're dancing, and it's wonderful. And that's what I like about this. I think that's the best that this can really be. Now, this is directed by Zach Pariash, who's been an animator on Tangled, Big Hero 6, and Frozen 2. That's actually what he's credited as on IMDb. He's very talented. He seems like a very talented Disney animator. However, here's the thing with this. It's animated in a very Disney animation way, but I can't help it's like almost in the standard Disney way. Nothing about the animation was surprising. It's something you've seen before. I even found the music wasn't too surprising, to be honest with you. It's basically just like you're watching. It's very Muzak-y, the music in this. It wasn't like done, like they didn't like get a, I mean, they're not going to get like John Batista, who did, because it's sort of jazzy, that's why I said that, like they did with Soul, for example. They're not going to do something like that, but something like that would have really helped. You know, the scores are important. The reason why Pixar has such great score, like one of the successes is they got really great people to do the score. And the score was, it's just very Muzak-y. It didn't stand out. And that's one of the things about this short is I like that Disney is doing shorts like this and promoting them. And that's one of the things I like about Disney Plus. They do promote different animated shorts. But I was thinking while I was watching it, I was like, you know, could you have done a different animation style? I mean, like, did you need to do it in the Disney way? Obviously, that Zach Pariash is like a studio guy, basically. And this is what he chose to do it in, and I should respect that. But it almost felt like kind of like held back by that style. Like it just felt like it would be more playful in a different animation style, and I don't really look at that style as necessarily as playful. It feels a little more corporate and approved and everything. He did that style very well within the wheelhouse of this. He did feel like a studio director in the sense that he understood how to make a thing under the guise of the Disney machine, and he did it really well, actually. I think if I watch this as an executive, you can direct Big Hero 6, 3, or whatever, or 2, or, you know, whatever Disney movie. I'm sure this will help him do that, and he'd be a great director doing that. But there's nothing about this that surprised me out of, you know, the concept and the kind of execution of it was wonderful. But there are certain details of it that didn't feel like he got as much. Like, particularly the music, I thought could have been better. Had more life to it. It really didn't. I did wonder why do it in this style. You know, it just felt like something like, well, I know how to do this, and that's what I'm going to do. And in a sense, I get it, because, to be honest with you, if I could do that, would I do it? Like, if you had that resource, should you hold back or should you be different for the sake of it? I mean, this is an animator who's worked on these and I was thinking that while watching it. It was like, part of me is like, this is something I physically, you know, can't do and would need a team of people, but he's someone who knows this, you know, has worked there, and that's a style he's worked in, and he's very good at it. So in one sense, I do think, like, when you come to the end of the year, when you think of all the great animated shorts we've seen, this might not stick out to you because it will feel like we've seen this style before. But I do think when you think of this short, even though I don't love the music in it, which should be a standing feature. I mean, they're fucking dancing. I mean, sorry, I should not curse as much. I mean, they're dancing throughout this thing. The music should be important. I mean, it is important. But he didn't put as much important because the music just didn't feel as alive to me. But the moment that it seizes on is wonderful. That moment that they come together and dance is a wonderful moment together. And so that I don't think you can erase from this short, and I think that's what you take away from it. There's definitely things that could be done differently in more interesting ways and maybe directed better, but he still came up with this really wonderful short, and you leave with that moment and you think on that moment, and maybe everything goes back to normal, maybe nothing changes, but wasn't it nice to dance under the rain again? Okay, now let's move on to Loki, episode 1. Let me preface this about the whole Loki thing. I'm not going to review every episode. I'm not sure how I'm going to do this. I just didn't I probably should have just done a Gorillaz music video this week. But I was just like, let's just do the Loki thing, episode 1. For some reason. I don't know why. I'm not going to do all of them. Maybe I'll do a review of the whole series or something. Maybe I'll stop doing reviews of Marvel shows. I kind of was getting a little sick of it. And that sort of, at first, I wasn't as high on this. But I was really high on the last Marvel show I watched, actually, which was MODOK, which I haven't finished, but I need to. And when I came in on this, I wasn't, I feel like I've been burned twice by the whole show. But I want to say this. I think the show sets up things very well. This is a good first episode of a limited, or first issue almost, of a limited series. And it works really well in that. It's setting up Loki. It's setting up the concept. It sets up this time bureau and all that stuff. It sets up everything very well. And they're really smart about that. And I have to give them credit. This is probably the best first episode. But it has some things in it that already make me nervous. And one of the bigger things I really didn't like, actually, was the whole DB Cooper thing. Because, like, all the stuff with Loki and him watching, like, his mother's death and, like, all the various things in it. I should have said spoilers. I mean, Loki's mom dies. Why am I acting like that's not anyway. The DB Cooper thing, it's cool. I like DB Cooper. It's a great mystery. Like, I've watched a bunch of documentaries on it. Everyone's acting like it's this cool mystery. Like, I had to tell my normie friends about DB Cooper. Really obscure myth, DB Cooper? Chill the fuck out. It's just like, I was just like, so many people were like, oh, I know about DB Cooper. I'm like, everybody fucking knows about DB Cooper. It's just like, just stop. Like, the only thing that would be surprising if someone go like, well, I know who DB Cooper is. That would be interesting, but whatever. It just, like, if they had shown him going to the surface world several times throughout history, like he's like shoots Lincoln and hands John Wilkes Booth the gun or something that was like more mischievous than just like one thing, I would have liked that more. But it's just sort of like, what was that? Like, it's just such a weird thing. And if it doesn't come back, I'm really calling shenanigans on that, because it's like, don't just waste DB Cooper on a fucking Family Guy cutaway gag, guys. I just don't even understand. I don't understand that. I do think, like, him and Owen Wilson is really great. I think a lot of people have sort of missed Owen Wilson. Some people are saying they hadn't even seen him since Inherent Vice, or seen him in quite a while. But Owen Wilson's a great actor. He was really great in this. I think him and Tom Hiddleston are two actors. Like, Tom Hiddleston was working with a lot of really great directors and has good taste in material, actually. So him and Owen Wilson, I think, work really well, because they generally both have good taste, and it feels like that probably would have happened at some point. We have another super chat. Funny to me knowing that the best Illumination movie happened to have Robin Thicke being somewhat involved. 2010. What? Do you mean, is he involved in Despicable Me? I don't remember that. But cheers to you, Nanbox64. I'm confused by that. But I do really find a lot of this. I find it a good start, actually. I think it's the best start a Marvel show has had. I kind of want to be less crabby about it, but at the same point, this one feels like it's written like a limited series, because it's like, okay, why did the Time people want to keep him? What is he doing here? What is the journey we're going to go on throughout this? And they set all that up exactly, and that's how you do the beginning of a show. That's how you do the beginning of a movie. You set up the premise, you set up Loki, you set up Owen Wilson, you set up all those things, and they do it very well. My main complaint with all these shows is something that MODOK does very well, because MODOK is written like a TV show. And it feels to me, one of the things that might work about this, and is working so far, is this is written so far very well at setting up things like a show. Now, I'm sort of pessimistic because I've seen them sort of not do that well as the show goes on, but it feels to me like they can do that. I've heard so much about Lady Loki, and people are like, oh, we've seen on-set photos and all this stuff. The person in the cloak at one point, I don't see, that seemed very genderless to me. Like, I have no clue if that's a man or a woman, just like someone in a cloak. I think everyone needs to calm down a little bit about that. I did see that sex fluid thing because Loki can shapeshift. That might just be something they put in for shapeshifters. I'm not sure, but I think it is a very good start. I'll be less pessimistic about it, but I think I'm more of a MODOK person, really, and I think Marvel. This is kind of a weird growing pains era for them with the TV stuff. I think they're learning, but this feels like a step in a better direction, and it will be fun to see Owen Wilson and Loki, do kind of like Owen Wilson and Shanghai Nights or something. Be a duo going through time, solving crimes and stuff, and maybe that'll work out. Maybe that'll be a really cool show. It sounds like a good premise for a show to me, so I'm excited to see where it goes, but I'm a little worried because I've been burned like too many times this year on these Marvel shows. All right, let's do. I know about the Lady Loki thing. I'm just saying. All right. Let's do questions. Can I like Loki and MODOK? You can. You don't have to do what I do all the time. It's fine. I know that he was a lady in the comic. I'm not against Lady Loki. I'm just saying we have no evidence that that's going to happen right now. But we'll see. All right. I mean, Loki was a lady. Thor was a woman at one point. Everybody in the Norse thing. All that. From the director of The Judge. What? I'm confused by that. No, I understand. I said the thing. Okay. I understand Lady Loki was. I'm just saying there's no evidence that it's going to be. But he can shapeshift. Maybe that they were setting that up. Anyway. That's fine. I'm not against it. David Dobkin really directed the first one? Is that true? Hold on. Is that true? I didn't know. Loki episode 1 director. Is that? I had not heard that. No, it's not. It's Kate Herron. Who are we talking about directed? Oh, Shanghai Nights. Okay. All right, question. Let's move on. Also, Loki was a snake. Oh, see? Questions. Austin. Question for Movie Crap. What a fantastic show this week. From you denying your friend Gary his Dark City DVD, I didn't do that this time. I should have figured that out. That you still have, looking at Ace the Wind Rider art. Wow, lots to happen. And more evidence of you creating Butch Hartman. So many questions with new He-Man coming out soon. What are your thoughts on 90s He-Man where he looked like a Chippendales dancer and Skeletor had eyes? And the 2000s reboot. The 90s reboot is probably the most unique and weird, and that's why I think it was called The Adventures of He-Man, maybe. That one was not great. I think the 2000s thing was better, but the Adventures of He-Man, I don't think that ever gets talked about. Like, it took me a while to find a video that really talked about it. So, Nathaniel Foga has 2 questions, because that's how Nathaniel Foga rolls. Says, you think Kevin Smith would try to put a Jay and Silent Bob cameo in the new He-Man series? Yeah, I think that's probably... I wouldn't be surprised, but I don't think he will. Just for the hell of it, what's a classic cartoon franchise that would make for an unintentionally hilarious and how edgy it's trying CW show? Captain Caveman, I'd probably say. And then we have a Sinram question. These are the Patreon questions, BT Dubs. Got a favorite final line of dialogue from a film. I'm very big on The Thing in that maybe we'll just sit here for a while, see what happens. Favorite moment's probably Graduate. Favorite end line. Oh, I just had it. Oh. I don't know if it's an end line, but that part in Lethal Weapon 2, where he's like, this is probably what helped Deadly Assault, because there was a joke on Colbert about it, and it reignited my love for Lethal Weapon, which then influenced the Deadly Assault thing, but where he's like, diplomatic immunity, and Danny Glover's like, has been revoked. So maybe that one. I don't think that's an end one, but I always remember that because it's fucking funny. All right, I'm sorry if I was like, I'm not against Lady Loki. I know it's in the comics. Oh well. Maybe I won't put that as a video. It seems like nobody liked that. We'll see. All right. What's your favorite thing about Friedrich Nietzsche? I did do an existentialism thing on him on Cleese. I guess existential. I don't know much about Nietzsche beyond that. Sun Mill. Do you think Bendy and the Ink Machine should get a show next after the success of the Cuphead show? I don't know what that is, but sure. Bruce Parker. Best movie never made. Ooh. There's a lot of them. The Cabaret that Bob Fosse was going to do with Liza Minnelli and Madonna is up there for me. I'm just going to go with that because it's the first thing that came into my head. Yeah, that's up there. I'd say a third Timothy Dalton Bond. I'd say there's a lot of them, but that Cabaret one I think about a lot. Cornbread, since I fulfilled the joke that you said months ago, if you get the first 11 streams in a row, you get a free pizza. What am I supposed to live for now? Is the answer Katana Wolfman? The answer is always Katana Wolfman. Nattenbach64, do you think that Swift should be not bothered attempting an acting career at this point? I think if she wants to, obviously they'll cast her because she's such a name. I kind of wonder, like, I mean, she acts in like skits and stuff. I mean, maybe she could, but to me, it's like, what do you have to really prove? But also as an artist, like, what else does she have to prove? So maybe it's just like, well, I can do that, so why not? Is Robert Altman's Popeye a good movie? I think so. So, Zane Powers, rank all the 9 lives of Fritz the Cat from worst to best. Worst, probably what he is at the beginning. Best, probably the space one. I can't remember. All the other ones I can't, but yeah, I gave you 1 and 9 there. Thoughts on the Transplant song "Diamonds and Guns" from Austin? I do not know that song, so I have no thoughts. Ace the Windrider. What's the closest we have gotten to a comedy horror movie? I think there's been a lot of comedy horror movie. It's like Scary Movie. There's Saturday the 14th. There's Cabin in the Woods. I think we got a lot of them. Toon J723, favorite movie that used Atomic Dog. Oh, I love Atomic Dog. Oh, because I saw that meme about the 2000s. Probably 101 Dalmatians didn't bring back What's My Name of the Snoop Dogg song that covers Atomic. They usually just do the What's My Name, the Snoop Dogg one. And I remember that actually coming back on the radio and on MTV. And I remember thinking, because of that commercial, right? Because it was on all the time with McDonald's and the ads for the Glenn Close 101 Dalmatians. So I would say all the 101 Dalmatian stuff. And I'd say I don't think that would be Atomic Dog. I think that would be Snoop Dogg, to be precise. Question from Sleepy Cat 4-Time Productions. What was your reaction to the news that The Day the Clown Cried debuted on OX? I was shocked. I didn't even talk about it because I had too many words. It would have taken up the whole stream. Not plausible. Is it better to watch stuff with your friends who share your taste so you can geek out about stuff, or with friends who don't share your taste so you can get exposed to new stuff? It depends. I think it's better to show someone stuff who's open to it or wants to watch it with you, and I think that's more fun. It depends what you want to do personally, I think. But I think it's fun to geek out with your friends sometimes. Same Powers. What would Walt Disney be rolling in his grave for what the state of his company is? Like I see a lot of people saying, I think he wouldn't like the company. He wouldn't like acquiring things. I don't think he would like that, actually. But he didn't really like the company towards the end of everything from I've read. So, Cornbread question, with the Kevin Smith retrospective ending soon and with the teasing your next release, I wonder, is there a series you want to do in the distant future and one you've sworn off ever doing? Okay, I won't reveal the next one, but I will say I have the Bruce Lee box set. I know might be, I want to do all the Bruce Lee films in there. So I want to do that. That'll probably be not the next one, but the one after. I wasn't going to do Stanley Kubrick, and an actually like serious film person who I'm friends with. At first I was like, it's so typical, but how I do a series is I'll do like literally start if I was going to do Kubrick, I would do like from like the beginning to Eyes Wide Shut. And he was like, if you do from like if I don't start with like Lolita, if I start from the beginning to the end, he was like, I'd actually be interested in that because no one's done that. to that degree. So that one I would like to do at some point. I'd like to finish my Buster Keaton series. That's like a big one I need to do. Um, uh, yeah. Fred and Ginger. A bunch of. There was one I thought of today, but I know Bruce Lee's going to happen in the next year or so. I would say, whenever I finish the next one, I want to do Bruce Lee. So I think that would be cool. But that's why I got the box set actually. So there we go. Is everything all right? I hope so. Which film truly earned bombs over Baghdad? I don't think anyone did. You can't be using that. Oh, hold on. Oh shit, where we go? Since the season 2 finale had its 30th anniversary a few days ago, I was wondering, what are your thoughts on Twin Peaks as a whole? I love season 1. I've never loved any of the others as much, and I think people get like a little too weird about it, to be honest with you. But I like season 1 a lot. I think season 1 might be my favorite stuff from David Lynch. I like its weird quirkiness, but I think when it gets into the stranger David Lynch stuff, I like it, but I don't love it as much as season 1. I think season 1 is like penultimate. Or just ultimate David Lynch for me. Are Nala and Simba cousins in The Lion King? Not from my understanding, Zane Powers. Nattenbox 64. So fresh, so clean, or Miss Jackson? So fresh, so clean, but if you ask me a different day, it might be different. What a show. Who could forget the amazing call from Izzy tonight? Not possible. Nice one. Zane Powers. Can you survive a He-Man throw? Probably not. Cornbread. Oh, fuck. Cornbread. Have you seen the Pixar Spark short out? If so, what did you think? It's quite beautiful and on YouTube for free if those in the chat interested. I haven't. Maybe I should do that next week. That's a good idea, actually. I haven't, and I've been meaning to, and Disney Plus because it's Pride Month, so I should probably do it. Zane Powers, do you approve of grifting? No, and I don't understand how they do it. It seems like a lot of work for shitty behavior. Nathaniel Fogo, are said dreams made of these? Nice, that's a good one. Well, sweet dreams are usually. Austin, love question. A little bit of clarification. Loki and Norse. Oh, okay. Thoughts on. Thoughts on the existence of a goth girl rabbit and announced today in the new Mario. No question. Rabbit Russell. I don't know what that is. I'm not again. Okay, you guys. Favorite Riff Tracks commentary. Nathaniel Fogel. I haven't listened to a lot, but I did love the Birdemic one. Was a pretty good one. Nattenbox 64. Have you seen Infinite? I was thinking about it, but I don't think I will. Can you sign on the dotted line? Maybe later, St. Powers. Warriors Remake. Did you just... I'm assuming that was answering something. Not plausible. You are not a real reviewer because you don't have a cringy alter ego main rival with a storyline. How am I supposed to know what to watch without a cringy plot? Yeah. Good point. I'll have my evil nemesis Tim with a mustache come on. What other superhero supervillain should get the MODOK treatment from Adela Butterfly? I actually think the Howard the Duck idea would work really well in that. Doctor Doom, I think, could actually do a real serious show. We'll see. I can't think of any other. I hope that answered that question. I'm getting a little sleepy. Thoughts on the Free Guy trailer? I thought I talked about it. I believe I talked about that, St. Powers. I'm sorry. Thoughts on Universal passing on my pitch for the title of the second Jurassic World of Jurassic World Dinosaur House. Oh, that would be a great title. I'm going to take some Red Bull. Oh my god, it is a little late. You say the lies of all conservative people just telling people not to do things is a miserable existence, but isn't that all that cops are? Whoa. Fuck, St. Powers. That was rough. Alright, we'll find out the sources. What? Okay. Question. Were you aware of Jay and Silent Bob's anime film? I am aware of it, but I'm just not going to do that. Bruce Parker, when is Tetsuya the Iron Man going to... Nice. I believe that's a launch title. It's going to be Butch Hartman's Tetsuya the Iron Man, so, you know. Is that it? Worst CinemaSins video. All of them? If you had to play one game, what would it be? Turtles in Time, bitch. Or Sonic, probably. Favorite ice cream? Whatever yummy Ben & Jerry's I can find at the deli. All right. I think that is it. What is going to happen this week? If you notice, I'm trying to develop other things and work on other projects right now. There was a Noah Hawley Doctor Doom thing, Cornbread, by the way, that almost happened and then got canned, which sounded interesting, actually, but whatever. Anyway, I'm sort of not probably going to do a full week of stuff this week, but my plan is to do Loki will be out tomorrow night, hopefully. Then maybe Wish Dragon, something will be out Tuesday. I want to do Wish Dragon. I will also do Us Again will come out this week. Neighbors will come out at some point, maybe this month, maybe later, we'll see. But it will happen at some point, trust me. I mean, it's already shot, as we know last week. And then I would like to do In the Heights on Friday. And I will be reviewing the George Romero thing at some point. I don't think it'll come out this week. I'm just working on a bunch of stuff. I'm excited about it. But as well as a very epic every show ever. So we'll see about all that. But thank you, everyone who came out tonight. I know they haven't, the last couple times, we haven't had the most exciting movie news. I don't make the news. I just talk about it. So sorry about that. But thank you, everyone who gave a super chat. I always really appreciate it. Thank you, everyone who liked this, subscribed, in general, was just nice or enjoyed the show. Thank you very much for watching. Have a great Sunday. Have a great weekend. Watch something cool after this. And I will see you next time. And subscribe if you would like to. Have a good night, everybody. Peace.